Timothy Spall is an actor with a filmography that encompasses everything from the cornerstones of Western literature to the most modern-minded pieces in contemporary cinema, and is studded with awards and accolades of every kind. Here are a few of the films you might have seen him in. Spall might play a different character in a very different setting in Tim Burton's adaptation of Sweeney Todd, but Potterheads will likely notice more than a few similarities with Peter Pettigrew. His character, Beetle Bamford, is a wretched, gleeful servant of Alan Rickman's sinister Judge Turpin, a man whose power he clings to in the hopes that some might rub off on him. He is deeply duplicitous, luring innocents into Turpin's path through carefully deployed secrets and lies, skimming whatever he can off the top whenever he can get away with it. And he's not even the villain of this story, so much as he is a pitiful also-ran with delusions of grandeur.
Will Beetle Bamford be the judge?
Glad, as always, to oblige my friends and neighbours.
Above all of these similarities to Pettigrew, however, is the sheer quality of Spall's performance. No one could have been as perfectly servile as he is in his role, nor so sumptuously aware of his character's impotence. Spall plays Bamford like a man who thinks he's on the up and up, with an actor's awareness of the fact that he definitely isn't. As Winston Churchill in The King's Speech, Spall plays a larger-than-life role. Yet in the context of this movie, it's not exactly a starring one. Spall is instead a supporting player to Colin Firth as King George VI in his portrayal of the king's struggle to master his persistent stammer. As the movie winds on, tensions across Europe begin to brew, and Spall's Churchill finds himself unable to make the declaration of war against Nazi Germany by himself. That is a duty that falls to the king, and the king alone. And so the training begins to take the king from his impenetrable stutter to smooth, confident recitation. The presence of Spall's Churchill is a grounding force in the film's final scenes, in which King George VI accomplishes his goal and changes the world, with nothing but the power of his voice, a microphone, and radio broadcasting. A rollicking, ruthless portrayal of art and what fuels it. The critically acclaimed biopic Mr. Turner sees Spall play the painter J.M.W. Turner. Accounts of the time depicted Turner as consciously refusing the trappings of fame, tying himself to ship's masts to better paint sea scenes, and never quite fitting in with his colleagues at the Royal Academy of Art. But his work was utterly sublime, capturing the power and violence of nature as readily as its grace and tranquility. He was a deeply complicated figure, and Spall fills the role like no one else would. In a way, the actor takes to the role as Turner himself took to painting, passionately and skillfully.
You've always been preoccupied. You're too preoccupied for your own good, sir.
Spall plays another villainous henchman in Disney's Enchanted. The film sees Giselle, a woodland princess from the magical land of Andalasia, trapped in New York City when the wicked Queen Nerissa pushes her into a dimension-spanning portal. Nerissa sends forth her helplessly lovesick minion Nathaniel to keep an eye on Giselle and generally do her bidding. Spall gets to be quite a bit funnier here than as Peter Pettigrew or Beetle Bamford, and unlike with those other characters, ultimately gets to find his redemption. Our last glimpse of Nathaniel in Enchanted finds him promoting a self-help book about his experiences, with a long and ardent line of autograph seekers waiting to meet him. Here, Spall proves that not all of his servile wretches need to be totally loathsome. He can make you root for them too. Unique among these entries, the BBC series Timothy Spall at Sea is about the man himself. He and his wife, Shane, are dedicated sailing enthusiasts, and this BBC program follows them on their journeys around the British coast, aboard their Dutch barge, the Princess Matilda. Spall is a delightful guide to the world of galleys and moorings, his passion for the freedom of life on the seas shining through at every moment. 3 series have been produced, Somewhere at Sea, Back at Sea, and All at Sea. Though Spall's skill and expertise is an enormous part of the show, the foibles of sea life are part of it as well. The couple infamously became lost in 2011 and had to be guided back to safety by the authorities of the town of Sheerness. Nevertheless, Timothy Spall sails on. Spall teamed up with director Mike Leigh for All or Nothing, centered around 3 working-class families and the traumas and victories that define their lives. Spall plays Phil, a father and taxi driver caught in a web of addiction, dead-end jobs, and family squabbling that encompasses roughly a dozen people by the time the film reaches its end. Spall's character lives a life that edges on bleak, yet he keeps away from toppling into true despair, something that, if anything, makes the character even more heartrending. His performance has his feet planted firmly in moments of extreme dysfunction and steadfast love, an honesty that catapults all or nothing into greatness. It's easy to see why Spall is one of Lee's go-to performers. Together, they find the eye of the storm that is modern life in the UK. Check out one of our newest videos right here, plus even more Looper videos about your favorite movies are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.